Hello, my name is Ling Hương and thank you for tuning in to VTV News, brought to you live from Hanoi. And here are the headlines for this half-hour bulletin. The White House reiterates concern over East Sea disputes. Factories resume operation after several days of temporary closure following the marches opposing the Chinese illegal oil rig. And Vietnam's 15th annual European Film Festival offers cinematic journey around Europe. The illegal installation of the Chinese oil rig Hải Dương 981 in Vietnam's exclusive economic zone is facing objection from the international community. On Friday, White House Press Secretary Jay Carney, in his press briefing, once again raised concerns over tensions in the East Sea.
First of all, we're closely following out of our mission to Vietnam the protests in Vietnam around this issue. But regarding the broader issue of China's unilateral decision to introduce an oil rig accompanied by numerous government vessels for the first time in waters disputed with Vietnam, we would say what we have said repeatedly, which is this is a provocative act and it raises tensions in the region, and by raising tensions makes it more difficult to resolve claims over disputed territory in a manner that that supports peace and stability in the region.
White House Press Secretary Jay Carney also called on all sides to use peaceful means to deal with the dispute for the stability of the region, avoiding threatening acts and ensuring that all actions comply with international law. Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Alexander Lukashevich said in a press conference held on Thursday that Russia wanted China and Vietnam to seek a solution through negotiations. He said that Russia will continue to follow updates on the sea and called on all parties to exercise restraint and handle the dispute through negotiations and other peaceful solutions. According to a press statement released by the Indonesian Foreign Affairs Ministry on Friday, all parties involved in the East Sea dispute should refrain from conducting violent acts and focus on a diplomatic solution. Indonesian Foreign Affairs Minister Marty Natalegawa called on the related parties to communicate intensively in order to stabilize the situation. The Foreign Affairs Minister also emphasized that there is only one solution to the conflict. It is a peaceful solution. The use of violence and violation of international law have no place in this region. China's illegal installation of an oil rig in Vietnam's exclusive economic zone has caused discontent among the Vietnamese public and indeed the world. Despite threatening behavior from China's fleet of over 80 ships, including some military vessels armed with heavy weapons, Vietnam's law enforcement personnel have remained resilient and are applying only peaceful means to persuade China to respect the sovereignty of Vietnam's islands.
In its daily approaches of the Chinese oil rig, Vietnamese Coast Guard have repeatedly delivered messages confirming the sovereignty of Vietnam and asking China to desist this territorial violation. The Vietnam Coast Guard have consistently employed this peaceful measure since the dispute began. However, China has deployed a dozen of ships, creating a layered barrier to block Vietnamese ships. Although on several occasions, Chinese ships have intentionally rammed into Vietnamese vessels in order to threaten or cause damage, never have the Vietnam Coast Guard abandoned their duties. For over the last 10 days, we have properly performed our duties according to guidance from our seniors. We're also dedicated to maintaining peace, so when the Chinese ships attempted to ram us, we turned away in order to guarantee the safety of the crew and of our equipment. No difficulties can discourage us. We are ready to make sacrifices to fulfill our duties, and we're determined to defend our nation and its sovereignty. According to the Vietnam Coast Guard, Among the new ships China has sent to the oil rig, there are silver ships equipped with missiles. The Vietnam Coast Guard are still performing their duties despite such threats and asking China to respect the sovereignty of Vietnam.
Traditionally, the 17th and 19th of the lunar month are considered opening sea days for fishermen. That's why at the moment, sailors in the central region are preparing themselves for a new trip. However, with the unlawful installment of Hải Dương Shiyu 981 in Vietnam's exclusive economic zone, the fishermen's upcoming fishing trips have taken on a special significance, representing their determination to assert their country's sovereignty. The Paracel and Spratly Islands have now become symbolic both for local fishermen and all Vietnamese.
Born in Mộ Đức district in the central province of Quảng Ngãi, Lê Văn Siêng only spends about 1 month of every year in his hometown. Most of his time is spent on the sea, and so the Spratly and Paracel Islands have become his second home. My whole life is spent on the sea, and so the sea is a huge part of my life. It helps me earn money to care for my family. Therefore, I have to keep protecting the nation's sovereignty at all costs. The 17th and the 19th day in this lunar month fall on the 15th and the 17th of May. These are the opening sea days for fishing villages. After a quick lunch, the fishermen get to work preparing for the coming fishing trip. Each trip will last from 20 days up to a month. As usual, their main fishing grounds are the Paracel and Spratly Islands. Currently, there are about 26,090 CV fishing vessels around the country, which are mainly used to catch tuna and squid. These trips are the main source of income for many fishing villages. That's our sea, as belongs to our nation, so we just keep working to take what is deservedly ours. We usually work in groups. Each group contains from 5 to 10 boats, so we can support each other if there is any problem. For all fishermen, even though every month has opening sea days, the upcoming opening days are seen as particularly important. Fishermen will sail offshore as a group, hopeful in the belief in a new bumper season.
VTV News will continue with several updates on the East Sea disputes. The Vietnam General Confederation of Labour, or the VGCL, discussed measures on Friday to help businesses in 10 cities and provinces resume operation following disruptive demonstrations against China's illegal placement of an oil rig in Vietnam's waters. Accordingly, the municipal and provincial trade unions are required to provide support for laborers during the time it takes businesses to resume production. The VGCL also appealed to laborers all over the country to show their patriotism and solidarity in the defense of national sovereignty through practical activities like intensifying production to contribute to the development of economic and national defense potentials. After several days of temporary closure, many foreign invested enterprises in Bình Dương, Đồng Nai and Ho Chi Minh City have resumed operation. Several businesses were temporarily closed following the damage incurred by vandals who took advantage of the marches opposing the Chinese illegal oil rig. By recommencing operations, the companies have shown their trust in the security measures promptly implemented by the local authorities.
The VSIP-1 industrial zone in Bình Dương province was hit hardest during the disruptive marches, and many facilities belonging to enterprises were destroyed by vandals who have now all been arrested. More than 100 out of 214 enterprises in the industrial zone have resumed the production. In Đồng Nai province, 96 Taiwanese enterprises at Ho Nai industrial zone also returned to business as usual. The remaining 6 enterprises are due to resume production in a couple of days. I'm no longer worried about the recent incident. The local authorities and the management board of our company have dealt with the matter and helped us. Immediately following the vandalism, local authorities and relevant agencies of the industrial zone met directly with affected enterprises, apologized to them, and were committed to guaranteeing the safe operation of enterprises. This sincere reassurance goes some way towards putting the Taiwanese investors' minds at ease. Our directorate now feels safe. The situation has been brought under control and we have resumed operations. We would like to thank the Vietnamese government for supporting us. At the Linh Trung 1 industrial zone, which first faced the vandalism in Ho Chi Minh City, currently 90% of enterprises have returned to the daily routines. It's an unfortunate matter, but we appreciate the efforts of authorities in Ho Chi Minh City in promptly dealing with the vandalism in the area of foreign enterprises. Thankfully, our workers are well aware of the government policies in regard to such behavior, and so they didn't take part in the unlawful actions. We resumed production yesterday.
Kể từ hôm qua, chúng tôi đã hoạt động trở lại bình thường.
Under government guidance, security is being carried out by the local authorities, who are now ready to hear requests from the enterprises and mediate with the workers to help them understand the situation properly.
China's move to locate its Haiyang Shuyou 981 oil rig in Vietnam's waters has been strongly opposed by Vietnamese people living all over the world. The sentiment holds true to Vietnam's long-standing patriotic tradition, one that shows a determination to defend national sovereignty while encouraging the expression of patriotism in a peaceful manner.
Looking back at the country's history, once faced with the threat of invasion, Vietnamese people have always been quick to unite to defend their rightful sovereignty.
Vietnamese people's patriotism is closely tied to their consciousness of sovereignty and freedom. And so, whenever we face the threat of foreign infringement upon our sovereignty, people's patriotism rises to the surface. But it should be noted that we express it in a sound and peaceful manner. Expressing patriotism in a peaceful manner means that we stay calm and rational, so that we are not provoked or enticed by any reactionary.
Over the past 2 weeks, Vietnamese communities at home and overseas have been stirred up by China's placement of its oil rig in Vietnam's waters. Government authorities have advised the Vietnamese people to join hands while maintaining the country's tradition of respecting moral principles and the people of all other nations.
We respect other nations' sovereignty and their people. When it comes to disputes, we always want to employ peaceful measures first by using international laws and preventing the use of force.
In the country's efforts to defend its sovereignty since it was founded, Vietnamese people's strong unity has led Vietnam to victory over some of the strongest armies in the world. It is believed that it's the country's love for peace and its people's patriotism expressed in a sound manner that have brought about this power.
The incident at Vũng Áng industrial zone in the central province of Hà Tĩnh, which happened on Wednesday, May 14th, resulted in 1 death and 149 injuries. All injured people were hospitalized at Hà Tĩnh General Hospital. All admissions, both Vietnamese and Chinese, were treated with care and respect by the many doctors and volunteers at the hospital. The Farm Report has more.
This is Hà Tĩnh General Hospital, where 100 Chinese patients are being treated for their injuries. Despite language differences, doctors here are taking care of them according to their responsibilities and code of ethics. The wholehearted care of the doctors has relieved the pain for many of them. Moreover, the hospital leaders also provided personal health care items for the patients, such as towels, toothpaste, and more. We directed our doctors to take care of all Chinese patients who were admitted on May the 14th. Also, we contacted Hà Tĩnh Medical College to call for the assistance of their volunteers. More than 300 volunteers from Hà Tĩnh Medical College was divided into 6 groups to alternate in caring for the patients. Despite hot weather and difficult conditions, they helped all the patients, both Vietnamese and Chinese, to overcome their injuries.
We had heard that many Chinese were being treated at the Ha Tinh hospital, and then they called our college to recruit volunteers. We took patients from the ambulances to their departments, and we were ready to assist for 24 hours.
With the help of the doctors and volunteers, patients have had their injuries treated. The noble gesture of the hospital staff and volunteers has left a good impression in the minds of the patients.
After the fight, I had head and back injuries, but the doctors and nurses here took care of us so carefully. Thanks to them, I'm feeling much better.
Despite the language barrier, doctors, volunteers, and patients from China have become closer. It is hoped that out of this experience, a sense of friendship, solidarity, and purity of esteem can emerge between the two peoples.
Coming up next on Bits of News, Vietnam's 15th annual European Film Festival offers cinematic journey around Europe. Hanoi Chel Theatre's efforts to revive and promote Chel or traditional opera among Hanoi pupils.
Exotic Vietnam is an intriguing blend of many charms. This land is where all manner of stunning landscapes await like a visual feast, rivaled only by the beauty of its people and their abundantly rich tradition and culture. Here is where you can relive the past in richest color or live it up in the bright lights of the big city. With so much more to offer, Vietnam is simply unforgettable.
Welcome back to VTV News live from Hanoi. Now, the Standing Committee of the National Assembly made contributions to the revised law on the organization of the National Assembly yesterday. Accordingly, the majority of the National Assembly Standing Committee agreed that the number of National Assembly deputies should be maintained at 500 and that it is necessary to increase the number of full-time deputies working at the National Assembly's Ethnic Council and other National Assembly committees by at least 35%. In addition, many members of the National Assembly Standing Committee also approved to change the name and authority of several National Assembly committees. Delegates agreed that the draft law on the National Assembly organization had been revised and that the number of articles added were in accordance with the party's reformed policies and the 2013 Constitution. Vietnam's 15th annual European Film Festival officially kicked off in Hanoi on Friday. This year's lineup will give film lovers the chance to embark on a cinematic journey around Europe. This festival is part of a broader series of cultural events celebrating Europe Day, or May 9th.
The festival showcases Europe's diversity and rich cinema tradition, portrayed in 14 films from 14 different EU member countries. Viewers will be spoiled for choice with genres ranging from drama, thriller, comedy to documentary and animated films. An acclaimed film in the lineup is Searching for Sugarman, a documentary by Swedish director Malik Bendjelloul, which won the 2013 Academy Award for Best Documentary.
Too strange to be true.
In fact, EU and Vietnam are very, very close politically and as trading partners, and now we also want to bring Europe and Vietnam very close culturally. So we're very happy to be able to show movies from a number of countries in the European Union.
The festival brings new and captivating aspects of European culture by showcasing films that would otherwise not be shown in Vietnamese commercial cinemas. The event draws audiences of all ages as well as Vietnamese actors and filmmakers. I'm looking forward to not just one particular movie, but every single movie at this year's film festival. As an actress, I hope to maybe learn something from the acting skills and stories in the movies.
The idea is very simple. That is to bring Europe closer to Vietnam and to get the people in Europe closer to the people in Vietnam. And we do that by making a better understanding of the cultural developments in Europe. And there, of course, films, movies is a key part of that expression. And it's the 15th time we are having it, and it's, I think, the biggest ever.
This year, the festival will run from May the 16th to May the 31st in 3 major cities: Hanoi, Da Nang and Ho Chi Minh City. The organizers hope that even though each film showcase at this festival may belong to a specific country, together they would be able to reflect the EU's motto of being united in diversity.
Chèo, or traditional opera, is a special traditional Vietnamese art form. In modern times, like some other folk arts, chèo has become less popular. For years, the Hanoi Chèo Theatre has been making unfailing efforts to revive and promote the art. Most recently, they have carried out a project to promote chèo among pupils and students in Hanoi. More to follow on our edition of Culture Watch this week.
Artists from the Hanoi Chèo Theatre are finishing up the details for their upcoming performance. This is a very special performance for these artists because today many of their young audience will learn about chèo for the very first time.
I feel very happy to act in this play and see how excited the young audience is. It takes us effort to transform chèo singing into a play for children. It's very different to act for children because you have to find the most simple yet fun way to perform. I hope after the show, children will like chèo singing and continue the tradition in the future.
It's a very sunny day, but pupils from Thang Long International Primary School are eager about their field trip. They are learning a very special lesson today, taught by a performance by the artists from the Hanoi Chèo Theatre. A 100-knot bamboo tree, or cây tre chăm đốt, is the familiar folk tale to Vietnamese children. Today, this tale was reenacted as a chèo performance by the artists from the Hanoi Chèo Theatre. This is a part of a program approved by the city of Hanoi to educate Vietnamese children about this traditional art. Simple scripts, engaging interactions, and the surging energy are what make this both a fun and valuable lesson for Vietnamese children.
I enjoyed the show very much, especially the part when Theo finds the magic bamboo. I think I like chèo singing.
My favorite part is when Buddha comes to help Theo. I think the difference from the folktale and the play is that I can see the characters with my eyes.
The project to promote chèo among students will include a total of 1,700 performances in primary, secondary, and high school in Hanoi over the next 3 years. For secondary and high school students, the Hanoi Chèo Theatre is putting on performances of plays they have learned about in school. As well as the plays, the project will include chats with the artists and brief lessons to teach students about this traditional art.
This extracurricular activity helps students to relax after they've been studying hard. Cây tre chăm đốt is a popular folktale which encourages students to sympathize with the poor and live a good life.
Chèo is very popular among the older generation, but young audiences know very little about the art. The project aims to bring chèo closer to young Vietnamese to maintain the art's position in the landscape of Vietnamese culture.
An important part of this project is that we are trying to make young audiences like chèo singing first, and then try to teach them about it later. Our young audiences really enjoy it. We hope to nurture a love for traditional arts among them, because chèo singing is a heritage that is worth preserving.
The performance has ended at Đại Nam Theatre, and 500 more children have learned about chèo. With more performances like this, the Hanoi Chèo Theatre hopes to nurture a love for chèo among young Vietnamese audience and keep the art alive.
VTV News will now continue with several highlights on the culture scene next week.
Cinema lovers in Vietnam are again offered a unique chance to embark on a cinematic journey around Europe through a rich lineup of films introduced at the European Film Festival 2014. This 15th edition of the festival will take place in Hanoi, Da Nang, and Ho Chi Minh City on 16th, 17th, and 19th of May, respectively.
To celebrate the 15th anniversary of Hanoi's UNESCO City for Peace and 112-year-old Long Bien Bridge, an art exhibition with 112 paintings and 112 photos by over 50 artists from Vietnam and all over the world will be opened at Heritage Space in Mỹ Đình, Hanoi from May the 18th to June 25th. The Bridge of Love, War and Peace, Hopes and Dreams will be featured in different aspects.
The famous opera, Carmen, will be performed by more than 150 artists, musicians, and singers from the Vietnam National Opera and Ballet at the Hanoi Opera House on June 2nd and 3rd. Taken from the novel by Prosper Mérimée, Carmen was completed in the autumn of 1874. It was the last work of Georges Bizet and also the most popular opera on the world stage.
Those are several notable cultural events taking place next week. And now, before we say goodbye, let's take a look at the weather updates for several cities and provinces in Vietnam and other countries. And that's the end of our news bulletin at this hour. Thanks for watching. You can always go to vtv4.vn or catch us again at 6 p.m. Vietnam time for other updates. And for now, goodbye from Hanoi.